Hello everybody, it's your boy Crypto Wolf back, and we're doing another quick little news brief, little breaking news here. And you can see on our picture we got a little bit of a hint as to what's coming up. You may have heard at least of one of these here, but just real quick to hit the quote for the day: responsibility is the price of freedom. And that will tie into our first news story that we're getting into here real quick. So nothing to it but to do it. Let's just get into it real quick. Oh yeah, and since we're over here on the chart, I got the loop ring daily chart up here real quick. And you know, I've been hearing about it for a little while. I really haven't done anything with it, haven't really traded it. You know, by the time I really heard about it, we were already on this big correction from the giant pump that it had. I mean, I probably heard about it during the pump, but I didn't even look at it at the time. Probably should have. But as you can see right here on the daily, it's looking a little ugly. The money flow is just, might as well call it Mother Nature. It controls all, because as you can see, we have stretched out a little bit, mind you, but some bullish divergence here on these big waves. You know, we still had a little guy up here, but that wasn't divergent because it was higher. But we got, you know, lower lows, higher lows. We'll see how that plays out, but keep in mind the money flow is practically at its lowest point, went a little bit lower right here, and that can be dangerous. Plus we had the VWAP crossing over to the negative side, had our little red dot, and as you can see, we're pushing downward now, so we'll see how that plays out. But all right, back to the evening news. Edgewater man says he's out about $1 million after armed robber steals phone with crypto wallet app and a pricey watch. Now, I do believe the crypto itself was only worth like 600,000. Let's check it out here. So a South Florida businessman said he was ambushed by an armed robber who knew exactly what he wanted: his crypto wallet and his pricey watch. The victim, who was asked not to be identified or show his face on camera, said he was targeted as he arrived to his home in Miami's Edgewater neighborhood around 11 p.m. Wednesday. "I could have been dead," he said. Surveillance video recorded the terrifying moments. I'm not going to play it. You see 100 robberies. You've seen them all. The victim said he was coming from after a meeting when the unthinkable occurred. Did it? Who the hell wrote this? What's up with your grammar? Come on now. Pulls a gun, runs towards me, put it onto my face, and tells me, "Get on the ground. Give me everything you got," said the businessman. Should have said the robber. Everything he had, the victim said, had a major price tag beginning with the watch. That specific day I took it out from the safe for that specific meeting. Interesting. Estimated at $400K. It's a Philippe rose gold. Should have been getting the Patek, but whatever. Oh wait, no. Okay, so yeah, I missed the P there. So it's a Patek Philippe. Very nice. Not a huge fan of the rose gold, but still can't go wrong with Patek. When I purchased it, it wasn't 400 grand, way less. Yeah, they are an investment, and a very good investment. So anybody who's got the money to be getting, you know, high-end watches, I do recommend Patek Philippe. They got some nice looking ones too, which is always nice. But anyways, the businessman said the robber swiped his phone. On it was his crypto wallet, an app that serves as a bank for digital money. The total of everything, we don't really care. And okay, so I'm not even going to say it in this article. The one that I saw that linked to this, which this was like apparently quote unquote the original, said that the crypto was worth 600 grand. Now, the point that I'm trying to make with this, coming back to our quote of the day: responsibility is the price of freedom. If you want financial freedom, you got to take a little bit of responsibility for being your own bank, essentially. And why in the hell you are going to keep money in a wallet on your phone and not have your seed phrase written down somewhere, written down in at least 3 places, honestly. I mean, I know every time you even start a wallet on anything, whether it be your browser, your computer, your phone, on a ledger, I mean, they tell you, like, write it down 3 places, keep it in 3 separate places. So if you lose one, you got 2. You lose 2, you got 1. You lose none, you got 3. But you know what they say, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So absolutely keep multiple copies of it. Like, I know what I do of it, and I even go to interesting lengths beyond that I'm not going to get into for security's sake. But I mean, shit, the ledgers even come with like 12 little cards or 10 cards that you can write it down on, and you can keep them around wherever, in safes, in a bank safety deposit box. But I mean, screw banks. I mean, that's the whole reason we're doing crypto, right? But just let it be a warning to you. Make sure that even if your computer gets fried by lightning, or there's a friggin' gunfight outside in the street and bullets come through and smash your hard drive, whatever it may be, just, you know, absolute act of God, and just assume anything can happen. And as long as you have that seed phrase, you can always go and download that same wallet onto a different phone or computer, and you can access your crypto. This guy's, if from what I heard, from what I previously read, that he didn't keep his seed phrase. But I mean, I almost struggle to believe that, because 600 grand, like, dude, if you're just letting it chill on your wallet and that's your sole means of accessing it, that's just insane. But nobody ever said you had to be smart to be rich. So moving on, you probably heard of this one. I didn't even realize this one got around as much as it did until actually right before filming this. But I said filming, recording this. Are Russian soldiers surrendering their tanks in exchange for Bitcoin? Kind of an insane title, really, but I won't get into reading too much of it. But essentially, they are saying that the hacktivist group Anonymous, over here with the video that very likely was made fake a dozen 100 times over after the fact, but they have apparently been doing a bunch of quote-unquote gray hat, white hat activity going after Russia in the event of all the Ukraine stuff, and they managed to raise a significant amount of funds, and they were trying to get the message out to Russian soldiers, particularly in the tank battalions, saying that if you surrender the tank, we will give you $52,000 worth of Bitcoin. Not sure where they came up with that number. It's not exactly a round number, and it's not like Bitcoin's worth 52K at the moment, so they're not just giving out, you know, a solid biddy. But I actually did the math on this one earlier, and with the recent inflation, or I guess you could say the decline would probably be more accurate, of the Russian ruble, it actually comes out to, let's see, so you would get 5,583,032 rubles worth of Bitcoin. Sounds like a lot, but you know what? I mean, if the currency's collapsing, like, you would actually want it in Bitcoin more if you were one of those tankers. And I imagine if they even heard about it, they thought about it. But let's be realistic here. It is not going to be an easy thing to surrender a freaking battle tank and fake whatever scenario you had to, you know, dream up in order to do it, and then not get thrown in a Russian prison, let alone a Russian military prison, for the rest of your life for treason. And if they find out that, you know, you did that in exchange for money, oh my gosh, that's a wrap. I mean, you would be like, everyone in the country would hear your name. You'd be like the Benedict Arnold of modern day Russia at that point. Assuming, like, you know, they let you live, even anybody ever hears about it. But just kind of a crazy thing. I think more than anything, it's just a like a political stunt. It's a PR stunt. I don't honestly expect anybody to take them up on that offer. And just real quick, even kind of going into it, you know, as far as Anonymous goes, like, you know, back in the day, you know, I had a decent amount of respect for some of the stuff that they were doing, particularly with like getting information from, say, politicians and some corporations and just giving it out there to the public. But it seems like, you know, years ago, I don't know what it was, but it was just like a switch flipped, and all of a sudden now, like, it's kind of like Rage Against the Machine, you know. They went from Rage Against the Machine to Rage on Behalf of the Machine. And all of a sudden they're supporting the, you know, as somebody once called it, the liberal world order. Although I don't think the name ever stuck, and I don't really like it. But you know what I'm talking about. Like, all of a sudden they seem to be on the side of the establishment. I mean, I get that, okay, you know, people don't like the war over there, and they would like it to stop. But this isn't the first time that we have heard stories of Anonymous oddly picking the side of the, like, the U.S. elites and establishment. So very weird. I'm not sure how much, you know, obviously it was never a truly organized group. It wasn't really an organization. It was basically just a moniker that anybody could take up and just be an anonymous hacktivist or hacker and call yourself part of Anonymous. And then obviously people took it and they started making YouTube videos, and it, like, yeah, you know, you get what I mean. It got watered down. It lost its mystique and its, I don't know, officialness, even though they called it Anonymous Official. Right. But moving on here, our next one is new studies suggest women will take over the crypto space. Again, never go with these headlines. Headlines are always meant to get clicks, to get you to come in, click on the article, and read into it a little bit. Where I originally found it from, they were actually talking about the study itself, and it just seemed kind of interesting just to get some statistics, because let's face it, there's a lot of women in the world. And aside from the fact that I like women, the more people that come into the crypto space, the more money that flows in. The more money that flows in, the more our little money flows turn to the upside, get into the green. And the nicer it is to trade. You know, it's always, everybody loves trading when we're in a bull market. It's always good times, green candles. But yeah, you see over here. Oh man, I forgot. I switched the screen. Yeah, you can see a little Rosie the Bitcoin miner. And then this little one, I had to throw it in there. Women are invading blockchain and crypto, but yeah, I don't really give a crap about him. Yeah, you little cartoon booty. Hey, just saying. But yeah, like I was saying, you know, more money comes in, money flow comes back up into the green. So, checking this out here a little bit. Skip that little brief at the beginning. So the study surveyed 1,012, another odd number, consumers, including 508 women who don't own cryptocurrency but have a basic level of awareness, 254 women who own crypto, and 250 men who own crypto across the U.S. And this was literally just this last month. And like I've noticed for most things involving crypto, it's generally between that 25 to 44 age range are the majority of the people, like, who watch these, you know, my videos and other people's, and seem to be the largest owning block of retail crypto owners. But looking at this, so let's hope this tendency continues for years to come. Men were early adopters, but women are now outpacing men as first-time purchasers. 38% of women made their first crypto purchase in the last 6 months, compared to only 30% of men. which is kind of interesting. I know, matter of fact, like my mom was one of them, although I think it was longer than 6 months ago. But it's getting there. More and more like people that just kind of didn't want anything to do with it or really didn't know enough about it and just kind of stayed away because they maybe haven't even gotten into regular investing yet. But the more they, see me talking about it, the more they see the charts open on my, the second screen at work and stuff, the more it makes them curious. And I just drop little hints and interesting tidbits and news stories here and there. And I think the more people realize, even aside from the trading and the money to be made, they realize the utility of it is good. Now, obviously, we have another little crisis going on with that side of it, but that's a topic for a different day. Talk about all that JP Morgan crap. But these excuses will sound familiar. The top barriers identified by women who don't currently own crypto include not knowing how to get started, 52%, not understanding crypto utility, 52%, and lacking extra funds to invest, 49%. I imagine that is, if you were to survey a much larger range, you would catch a lot of that, especially right now. Considering the state of the world, the surprise is that the percentages aren't even higher. The majority of men, 69%, and women, 54%, crypto owners, say they plan to increase their holdings in the next 6 months. Cool. Always good to hear. There's no rush, everybody at their own pace. The majority of women, 61%, own less than 500 in crypto, which kind of tells me that, they're really just getting into, speaking generally, of course, I'm sure there's women who've been in it since the beginning, but, the majority speaking, or generally speaking, the majority, it seemed like they're just getting into it, kind of dipping a toe into the water a little bit. And considering that we are in a bit of a downtrend lately, it's not going to garner a whole lot of excitement just yet, but when we start pumping again, I expect that to increase fairly significantly because everybody loves making money. Once you see your portfolio go up, the endorphins start flowing, everybody gets happy, start pumping a little more money into it, and away we go. Crypto owners versus no coiners. There's no substitute for direct contact in this section of Beck's study. The difference between male and female takes a backseat to the fact that no coiners feel lost in the crypto world. Crypto owners feel like they know about the subject more than those who haven't had hands-on experience with crypto assets. You don't say. I wonder why that would be. Maybe because that's a Captain Obvious statement if I've ever heard one. 70% of no coiners rate their crypto knowledge as low or very low, which compares to only 13% of male crypto owners and 22% of women crypto owners who rate their knowledge as low or very low. Which, yeah, a lot of people just hear, hey, it's, people are making money off it, and they say, okay, and they kind of jump in. Women no coiners select confusing, risky, and scary as top words to describe how they perceive crypto. On the other hand, crypto owners of both sexes share some of the same top words, including opportunity, growth, bold, and revolutionary. In this female-only item, 82% of women who have purchased crypto say they are likely to purchase in the future, compared to only a third of women no coiners. I mean, if they don't own any, I would definitely expect the number who plan on buying some in the near future to be fairly significant, because at this point, it's been around, it's gotten enough hype that the people who would be more likely to hop on in and start getting into it probably already have, even if it's just a little bit. And at this point, we're kind of waiting to convince the second wave of newer retail buyers, investors, customers. So what are these people buying? Both men and women crypto owners in the study reported their top coin investments as Bitcoin and Ether. Shocker. Here's a chart that goes even deeper and mentions the internet's favorite meme coin, Doge. I don't know. Doge has been kind of flat lately. Ain't nobody talking about it no more. Get with the times. So looking at this little chart here that has horrible resolution. You know, obviously Bitcoin up here, 79.73. The black bar being male, green female. Ethereum up in the 55.37. So a bigger gap here. Stable coins like Tether, 11 and 4. Yeah, I mean, not too many, especially new people aren't really buying stable coins. Or if they are, you're buying it, but you're not holding it. You're using it to trade for something else. I mean, unless you're trying to stake and you got a decent interest. But Litecoin, 26.13. Dogecoin, 39.36. Again, you know, people see the memes, people hear the hype, the news. They kind of go that direction. Obviously don't know much about, you know, fundamentals or anything like that, and probably don't care. But I think later on, you know, down the road in the future, people will hear and learn a little bit more about fundamentals and good projects and things like that. But Solana 10.5, Binance 10.3, Cardano 18.9. Decent. Although Cardano has just been sucking lately, but and other, they didn't even give you, it looks like maybe a 19.20. But yeah, and then they just go on to say there's been other studies, 29% of women showing interest in buying crypto next year. Despite recent volatility, there's continued momentum for women's crypto adoption, and it's reassuring to see that the barriers to entry can be overcome through education. Kind of a corny way to close out the article there, but I honestly do think, you know, making it easier to get into it, easier to buy, easier to set up an account, which the whole regulation thing is not helping whatsoever, because, you know, with all the KYC and just all that stuff, it just makes it a hassle, makes it a pain in the butt, and you know they do that on purpose. So hopefully we begin to start seeing more easier ways to, you know, get into crypto aside from like Robinhood or something like that. What do we got going on? Speaking of Bitcoin, sitting sideways, bouncing off this fib level right there. Below that little golden pocket. And moving on to our last one. This one I actually found very interesting. This was a post over on the subreddit cryptocurrency. And check this out. It's interesting, and it's actually some pretty good news, especially for the people down there. Venezuela pegs its monthly minimum wage to its national cryptocurrency stablecoin, Petro. Now monthly minimum wage is around 28 USD, half a Petro, and a 1,300% increase over the old minimum wage, which was only $2 a month. And he said this was done also in 2018, but it lasted only 2 months. The wage was unpegged and wage plummeted to around $2 monthly. Let's hope it stays and keeps going up, which it sounds like maybe they learned their lesson a little bit. It says, yes, you are reading it right. Monthly minimum wage was $2 US monthly, and now it is around 28 US dollars. Definitely a significant difference. Sounds crazy to anybody in the US or people who have any exposure to US dollars to even think about 28 a month. I mean, I won't even get into it. But also there is a food bonus paid in cash of 10 US dollars. Wages are paid in bolivars. 28 USD are around 126 bolivars. After government removes 6 zeros from the value October 2021, these 126 current bolivars would have been 126 million of the old. And they went through reprinted bills and all that stuff. If the peg is real amount in bolivars should change, even if the exchange rate USD to bolivars changes, and PTR should stay around 60 USD. Average monthly minimum wage is around $89. This is different than the 2018. That is why I believe this time it will last more. In 2018, the average wage was so much closer to the minimum wage. I mean, people already are over 30 USD monthly. This will benefit mostly public workers and retirees and pensioners that have a bonus of the same amount than the monthly minimum wage by law. In average, a 5-member family needs around $500. This has been increasing lately to, quote, live, and $1,000 to live okay. This is according to Senda, an NGO. Remember, average wage in South America is around 300 USD monthly. October 2021 was the third time zeros were removed from the currency. First was in 2008, where 3 zeros were removed, then 5 zeros in 2018, now 6 zeros in 2021. One current bolivar would be, holy crap, so $100 trillion pre-2008 bolivars. Got a lot of trillionaires down there. Must be sitting fat, according to some of these modern monetary theory, leftist, socialist, financial theorists who think that, you know, you could just keep printing money and it'll be great. We just give money to the people and everybody will have more money. They can afford housing and food and buy more stuff. But in reality, you know, the only reason this modern monetary theory works is because people don't really understand how it works. You know, and I'm talking about the average public, people who looked into money and, you know about the financial sector a little bit, understand that, you know, the more you keep printing money, the less it's worth, because unless you are increasing the amount of goods and services for the most part, you know, if it's increasing with the amount of money, then it basically stays the same. But if production, you know, is the same or even declines while the money supply increases exponentially as it has lately, you know, that's more money per less goods. It's going to make the price go up. The fact that it has only gone up as much as it has, God, it feels so terrible to say, but I guess is a good thing, even though it's so ridiculous lately. So yeah, so that's the quick little news brief that I had there, you know, and I'll just tell you in regards to, you know, this funny money here, talking about fiat. I got a friend of mine who's, you know, going house shopping lately, and oh my gosh, dude, that situation alone is absolutely crazy. I mean, it is amazing how much trouble he's having to not find houses, but to close. I mean, he's put in at this point like 15 offers and all of them above list price. But the problem is, you know, aside from the housing prices themselves being up significantly, there's so many investors that are buying up property, you know, whether just to rent it or, you know, whatever they want to do with it, you know, looking at you, BlackRock and ones like it, that a lot of the sellers are flat out just refusing regular people because, you know, these companies and investment firms can literally just, you know, pay cash right there on the spot. And supposedly that's what, you know, they're going for. And on top of that, oftentimes they're paying pretty significant over list price. So it's hard to compete with them, and it's not helping. And it's also driving the price up on top of inflation, on top of building materials and property taxes and just everything else. And then you got the interest rates. It's a really crappy time to be buying a house. And I know I was starting to look a little bit, but I kind of knew this was coming, and I you know, I made the decision. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to take this time while, you know, prices are up and rates are up, to try to save up a little bit more. because generally speaking, the market tends to want to find balance. So if housing prices are shooting up while rates are staying the same, you know, you have a certain like average monthly payment, but then as you know, rates start going up, well, now that payment becomes significantly more. And generally, people are buying houses not so much based on the total price, but based on what that payment would be, what they can afford to pay. And so the the total mortgage that they might take out is going to go down by a lot because, say your monthly payment was, I don't know, $2,000 a month, and you could afford a, let's call it a $400,000 house with low interest rate. Well, as the interest rate goes up, you still have that same amount that you can pay a month, but now you're going to have to start looking for like a 300,000 or 350 or whatever it might be. I'm just pulling numbers out of my butt, but anyway, so on top of that, he was getting frustrated, so he was starting to look at apartments, just like, all right, maybe we do an apartment for a year or two tops, waiting for the market to stabilize a little bit, because usually as the rates go up, eventually it will drive the housing prices back down a little bit, so it reaches that balance point once again. And so he was, and we were talking about this, and he kind of figured it out after I told him about it a while ago, but yeah, you got to go through it, got to learn it the hard way. And just in looking at apartments, he was telling me about the prices he was coming across. And I was like, holy crap, I'm like, how close are you to downtown, like getting prices like that? I mean, they were talking about like $1,600 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. I mean, not even, the square footage was like nothing more than usual. I think somewhere around like 1,000 square feet. And he's like, no, it's, in, such and such city. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And it just happened to be the city that I live in. And I remember, last time I was looking at places was like 3 years ago, before I moved here. And I actually had like a little Excel spreadsheet made up of like all the ones that were at the top of my list. And I had it broken down by like price per square foot and all that stuff. And then, looked up reviews and got into it, took it seriously. And so I was super curious. So I actually had to go and look at, what the current prices were going for some of those places that I was like, that were at the top of my list. And I was getting close to maybe going there until I found the place that I did find. And literally it went from like 960 something a month to 1,600 a month for a regular one. And then like they had a range, which, some of them, if you want like the ground floor, because these will be like 3-story buildings and larger apartment complexes, for like a ground floor one with, I mean, not a patio. Maybe you have like a 5 by 3 foot, concrete piece right there. For that, it was all the way up to $2,400 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. Not downtown. I mean, we're talking like 20 to 30 minutes from downtown. So not even close to that. And yeah, I mean, it's in a busy city with fairly large population, and, a couple like universities and things like that. But still, to go from, a little under 1K to potentially up to like 2,500, that's just insane. And I think the one place I was looking at was like 1,200 a month, and it was up to 1,800. It just blew my mind, especially to see anything like $2,000 and above for a friggin' 2-bedroom. Like, so it's getting crazy out there. So, just keep that in mind if, your living situation is in flux at all, or you need to start looking here in the near future. Just a heads up that it is crazy out here. And it doesn't help that the grocery store is getting more and more expensive. Friggin', like $300 for basically half a cart. Maybe a touch higher than half a cart, but still. You know, that used to be 100 tops, like not even that long ago. And the weird thing is, like, individually, it doesn't seem like things are that much more expensive. And I know part of it, you know, I'm lucky where we're at because certain things haven't gone up very much, where I've heard about it doubling in prices, like where I used to live. But still, and at the same time, I also try to buy as much organic stuff as I can and just bite the bullet, you know. You know, is it worth your health as long as you can still afford it? Yeah, try to be healthy best you can. Yeah, do the vitamin supplements. Try to cut down on the, you know, the traces of glyphosate and GMO stuff and all that happy horse manure. But all right, everybody, I'm done ranting. It was fun hanging out with you. Hopefully, you know, drop a line in the comments, say hi, chat, just whatever. Have a good one.